Use this to connect an aftermarket stereo to the factory Bose amp in my 2002 Mazda Miata. Installation instructions were dead simple to follow. The box itself is bigger than I expected, and I wonder if that's because the device has several different functions built in. It was a challenge finding a place for it in the Miata, but I found a spot between the radio cavity and glove box. I had to extend the length of the wires on both sides so I could tuck it away and still have enough slack to put the stereo into place. I have a 2016 Honda Accord XL with the premium, not bad, but not premium by most standards, audio system. What I did was keep the factory head unit, and removed everything else. The Honda Premium in my car actually has pretty clean and stable outputs, even for a factory unit. The problem I was having was that the line-outs, speaker leads, signals from the were in that middle ground between the low and high level inputs on the amp. When attached to the low level inputs, there was this oppressive hum because the signal was too strong. When attached to the high level inputs, I was running the amp at full gains and the at 80% volume to have what I consider normal sound level. At full amp gain, I was getting some hiss. This device allowed me to hook up to the amp's low-level inputs and reduce the signal from the to a level that the amp could handle. If you are having any hum or buzz, revisit your cable routing. You hear this all the time, but keep power/ground wires away from the audio signal wires. This applies even to shielded RCA in this device. I was still getting some hum until I realized my ground for the amp ran beneath the SCOSCHE lock, under the carpet. There is a black wire from the lock that they say can be attached to a ground in case of noise, but depending on where I attached it to the body of the car, it made the noise worse. Play around with location and whether you will use it. Worked perfect to add aftermarket head on it in my daughter's Miata with factory Bose audio. A little difficult to tuck away due to the size but not a fault of the device. First, let me start by saying this can go into a 2003 Miata. I did it May 28th. So this thing is bulky, hence why I took a star off. But this was used because I have Bose speakers and this was needed. It works great. I took my time putting everything together, I didn't lose any screws and I was careful with everything. If I could do it again, I'd use wire extensions because of the room I didn't have to work enough, but this isn't a fault on the device. I wanted to convert an 8-track player to play in my audio lines into the SCOSCHE RCA cables out to a single MIL-O plug into the car O. It works perfectly. A fine shortcut to play the stereo in a car without compromising the innards of the player. I was installing an aftermarket stereo in my 1998 Mercedes SL500 with a factory amp. After connecting the speaker wires from the radio to the car's wiring harness, the lowest volume setting was entirely too loud. So I hooked the speakers up to the Lineout RCA connectors instead, and the volume was way low. The lineouts were only 2 amps. I looked online for help, then went to 2 radio installation shops and no one knew what to do. After a little more online research I discovered this Lineout converter was specifically for this issue. It was super easy to install, and solved the problem. The gain adjustments allowed me to get the perfect volume calibration, and the sound is great. My only quibble with this is it's a little large to fit behind some dashes, but it could still be mounted out of view under the dash with longer speaker wires. This simple little gadget is really useful when I changed my head unit to an Android unit with no preamp, RCA, outputs. Followed the included instructions and wired up the new Android head unit to my stock amplifier as shown and was good to go. Click link in description for more reviews.